Hi guys, I have got a problem with my garden, not a huge one, but let me show you my waterless garden first. I just got a bunch of potatoes in here, and the ground level is like a foot down, and it's all mulch on top of that. And down below, it's wet. The potatoes are blooming, which means they're setting tubers, and then they're going to provide potatoes. We'll see. We've also got something over here. Pretty ugly little garden, but it's a start. We've got a bare soil garden here, and my dad actually put these I think they're broccoli. It might be cauliflower. The leaves look very similar. But anyway, notice how the leaves are beginning to curl and droop, like so, which means that they're getting dehydrated. And all of this bare soil is wicking the moisture up out of the ground and into the air. And what we want to do is stop that. So one way to stop it is to have a ground cover, such as that clover, which is good because it fixes nitrogen. But I'm going to have to resort to using mulch. Now, the downside of that is that it gives critters that eat broccoli leaves plenty of places to hide underneath all the mulch, and like pill bugs and such. But right now we're at a point where the garden is starting to dehydrate pretty seriously, and if I don't put something in, I would just have to water it every day, or see the thing wither away. So I'm going to experimentally dig a little trench here, for just to put the hose into, sort of an irrigation trench, sort of a swale, only on a small scale. And then I'll cover the whole area with wood chips. So we'll see how it works. Got a similar problem with my no water garden bed here. This area of the garden bed, I covered it fairly well with wood chips, an inch or so. Well, not fairly well, barely adequately. And all these potatoes are doing great, so are the peas. This very, very poorly made hugelkultur bed, which I will improve next winter. The potatoes show absolutely no leaf droop. Lamb's quarters are going strong, and I even have limbs sticking out which are wicking the moisture out of the bed, but the hugel effect is so strong that it's compensating for it. But this squash plant I put in a few weeks back, it's getting some serious leaf droop because of dehydration. I had some rainwater in the wheelbarrow, so I dumped it on there, but I'm going to have to cover this whole area give it a good coating of wood chips to prevent evaporation. Now, the natural mulch of the blackberries that I cut down are doing some, but I want to get more wood chips on here and really get the effect going, because I think the ground's natural moisture combined with the wood chips should keep it hydrated well enough. Artichokes are doing pretty good over there. They show no signs of droop. Of course, the blackberries are highly established. They're almost like trees. Probably shoot roots way down there, but they show no leaf droop either. So, yeah, now I'm going to modify that garden up front. Oh, and also I noticed that in this hugelkultur bed, which is barely even constructed, all it is really a debris bed, which has not been covered with soil. I'll be doing that later on this year. But I noticed that we've got, the squash plants that I put in, they're a little bug-eaten, but they show, even still, they show no sign of dehydration or leaf droop, and the hugel bed isn't even covered with anything. So the hugel effect is pretty significant here. And as you can see, those things are droopy as can be. Well, not really that droopy, but getting there. That's something plants do to conserve water. They decrease the surface area of their leaves by contracting and curling like that. So, okay, let's see what we can do about this. First thing I'm going to do is construct an A-frame level. Basically, it's a triangular thing with a cross piece and a string hanging down, and you can actually level out whole tracts of land, putting swales in on contour, even if the ground is sort of irregular, with a device like this. Very simple, very ingenious. Doesn't take much, just some light lumber, however you want it, however tough you want it to be. I have a couple of pieces of old lath that used to be used a long time ago in plaster walls, and a couple of fender washers, and some 1/4-inch bolts with some nylock self-locking nuts. Now, generally, when you're making an A-frame level, the A-frame is like pretty big. I mean, it's like probably shoulder level, so that you can get a good wide footprint. When you're doing larger swales on a piece of property, most people they opt for larger stuff. But I'm doing something here which is sort of on the micro scale. Just that little area of broccoli. So I'm going to use the A-frame level. I'm going to make it so that I can put them at about maybe a foot wide and maybe 3 feet wide. That'll be probably all I need for now. So here we go. Okay, this will be 3 feet. And I decided to make the smaller setting 18 inches. Hey, I found some fluorescent pink twine, and that will work awesome. Something left over from a wedding a long time ago. And a wing nut for the adjustable side. And voila! We have our A-frame level. Now, basically you go back and forth like so until it is nearly, oh man, it's still catching. I'm going to have to apply some tape. Or better yet, an orbital sander. Might as well actually make it smooth. Okay, now we got our A-frame level, and now all we need to do is calibrate it. Basically, you just find a spot that's fairly level, like this, I suppose. Put it down. And then you can sort of make sure that it doesn't, if it starts swinging on you too much, you can sort of pull it to one side, and the string will drag on the lath. And now it only swings back and forth toward me and away from me, and that is level. And then you make a mark like so, and then one on the other side as well. Then you flip them around in its own footprint. and then calibrate it again. This one's quite close. Oops. Man, forget what I said. My garage is not very level. Okay. Okay, so in between those two tick marks is level. It would indicate that the 2 feet are approximately level. So we can measure other things like so. So that one is sloping up a little bit. Let's try flipping it around. Yeah. Okay, good enough. Now we get to put it to use. Now granted, this is generally done on a vastly larger scale, but all a swale is just a ditch where the water flows into instead of running off of the ground, and it has to be level all the way across. So if I did one here, it would probably meander a little bit because the ground is does one of those numbers, and then it would be along, and then it would all fill up at once with like rain catch and rain, and then it would fill up, and then it would sink in many times a year, and then that would be a pump which would hydrate all of the landscape downstream, and it would feed the trees and keep everything hydrated downhill, because water underneath the ground generally flows slowly downhill in sort of a combination of wicking plus flowing action. And so if although the natural there's an actual divot in the ground over there, so that is largely a natural swale. So I will go ahead and fill this thing up with water and see how it looks. And there we have it. Any water that fills this ditch will sequester and be forced under the ground, and that would cause it to not flow off and flow downhill, and it would sort of pretty much lock it in right here until it's very slowly oozed its way down the hill. So that is the swale part, and now I will control evaporation with these wood chips. There's a downside to wood chips and leaves and stuff, because it gives critters that like to eat broccoli leaves and whatnot, it gives them a place to hide from birds and whatnot. So, but then again, I mean, it's a sacrifice. Some of these leaves are going to get bit because of the wood chips, but it'll also be much more hydrated and less likely to wilt away. I'm hoping that it's probable that the benefits will outweigh the risks or the downside. Okay, I've applied an even coating of a couple inches of wood chip mulch, which I chipped myself. Has a variety of things, including holly and all kinds of other things, but it's not the best for plants, but it will certainly keep down evaporation. And I'm filling the swale one last time. Now, this is generally a technique that is done on a wide scale rather than a micro scale like I'm doing here, but this is just demonstration purposes. So there you are, A-frame level, made a swale and controlled for evaporation, and then I will probably not have to put nearly as much highly chlorinated, fluoridated city municipal water on this thing. As soon as I get some rain catch, I won't have to do this at all. I mean, I won't have to use municipal water at all for things like this. You know, looks like the leaves are already starting to spring back. Huh. The mulch has only been on there a few minutes. and it must have been sucking up some of that water which I forced under the soil surface. Okay, well, I'll let you know how this works. Didn't have much water to spare except for a little bit in a wheelbarrow. Maybe about 3 liters. Dumped it on there, covered with mulch to control evaporation. The leaves on this squash plant are already springing back. Yep, good deal. It's better, I think, to take care of a problem permanently, like controlling for evaporation and shaping the land to capture water. Then it's much better than rolling a hose out every week or every few days and spraying it down. Yeah, I like the solution that stays fixed instead of one that you have to keep fixing. Good times. Potato blossoms are going. That means they're setting tubers down in that hugo bed. Good times.